January the 19th. The question of the topic is an economic boycott leading to thousands of deaths a form of genocide? We will spend time to analyze the current political situation in the world, the decline of the US empire. Sorry, this I would like to repeat it.
Please do.
The decline of the US empire. What a lovely sentence, isn't it?
Oh.
And the prospects for war, peace, and resistance. Genocide is associated with violent actions that lead to the death of large numbers of people. What if large numbers of people die not from violence, but from economic boycotts? In Venezuela, the economic boycott of that country has resulted in 40,000 deaths. How many in other countries? Iran, for example, Palestine, and furthermore. Professor Guillermo Barreto, Director of International Center for the Study of Decolonization in Venezuela and former Vice Minister of Science and Technology in the Ministry of Popular Power for University Education, Science and Technology. Do you agree, Professor Barreto? Okay, so I give you the word, Professor Barreto.
I don't know if you can listen to me without. Yes. It's better to hear.
But it's for the.
Ah, right. Okay. Who's there?
Right? Yeah?
The presentation.
Oh, sorry.
Well, thank you very much. Thanks, Samuel, for the invitation to be here. I'm very glad to be here. And thank you all for being on Sunday to listen to what we have to say here. My English is not as good as I wish. I try to explain as better as I can. I think it's enough for what I want to say. And, okay. So, I will start with something that she said about the decline of the American empire. It's interesting that we were thinking about, we talk about the decline of the American empire, and some people feel it's a good news because they think the decline of the American empire means the decline of capitalism. But maybe China will save capitalism. It's something rare to say, but we have to think about it, about what China is doing. At the moment, China is our ally, and we are with China. But we don't want to be like China. But anyway, okay, let's start introducing my country. The next. Okay. I will start introducing my country, where is Venezuela, and I want to say 3 tips on Venezuela that will be important to understand what is happening now. Venezuela is on the tip of South America. It's a nice place, tropical, in the middle of the Americas, just facing the Caribbean Sea. We have 900,000 and something kilometers square of land area, and we have 800,000 something kilometers square of sea or marine areas. And I want to go to say something apart about Decolonial Chavez, because we were taught in the school that we have borders with Colombia to the west, Brazil to the south, and the Guyana to the east, and the Caribbean Sea to the north. Our border to the north was the Caribbean Sea. And Chavez told us, these are not our borders. 1/3 of the Caribbean Sea is Venezuelan territory. We don't have borders with the Caribbean Sea. That's part of our territory. There's the blue Venezuela, I thought. That's the blue Venezuela. If we see it in that way, we have borders with Trinidad, Grenada, St. Lucia, St. Kitts, St. Vincent. And we also have borders with the Netherlands. We have Curaçao, Aruba, and Bonaire. We have borders with the United States, because Puerto Rico is there. We have borders with Britain because it's Montserrat and Virgin Island. We have borders with France, because there is La Martinica and Guadeloupe there. So these are our borders. These are our neighbors. And for Chávez it was very important to teach in that way the geography, because obviously you are not going to defend something you don't feel is yours. So the sea, this part of the sea, of the Caribbean Sea, is our territory, and we have to feel it's ours to defend it. We also have 100,000 kilometers square in dispute with Guyana, which is this territory with lines. And this is also another thing that Chávez insisted to talk to us, that the Essequibo territory is our territory. We are now claiming that territory, but it's ours. And if you put in the map lines, we don't feel it's ours. Because apparently in this territory, there is no rivers, no mountains, no people. So we don't feel the Essequibo is ours. We don't know. You ask a Venezuelan, name something in the Essequibo, a river, a town. Nobody will say that. So we don't feel it's ours. Chávez started putting that agenda. We have to defend the Essequibo territory. We have to know what is in there. The problem with Guyana was that we were a small country fighting the British Empire. But then independence came, and we became a strong oil country trying to take the territory of a very poor country. So the game changed against us. That's another story, but that's Venezuela, where is geographically where we are. Venezuela is also a rich country, a rich territory. We have the largest reserve of oil in the world. 300 billion barrels are under the soil. Most of it in this area in the map, just on the north of the Orinoco, in a place we call the Hugo Chavez oil belt. Very rich territory. 95% of our income as a country come from oil. So we are very highly dependent on the oil industry. We also have a rich area south of the Orinoco that we call the Orinoco Arc. You see, it's like an arc, rich in gold, diamond, coltan, iron, bauxite, amongst other minerals. Probably we have the second highest gold reserve in the world, still to be certified, but probably. So it's a very rich area. We have also a democracy, but it's a particular democracy. I'm showing here some of the electoral things that I will explain each one shortly. And I try to explain why I say it's a particular democracy. In 1998, Chavez won the election. The first election she won, with 56% of the vote. He became president, and he had probably one promise, electoral promise. He said, if I won, I will invite everybody to do a constituent assembly with the aim of writing a new constitution, because we need to reform the republic. We need a new constitution. That was his promise. The day he was elected, he said, okay, I will call for a referendum to consult the people if they want or not a constituent assembly. You know, the opposition, by them, the right, tried by any means to avoid that, using the laws, you know, that is not in the constitution, you can do that, whatever. But at the end, it was possible. So in 1999, we have a referendum asking the people if they agree or not to have a constituent assembly. And the yes won with 87% of the people. So people wanted that. This same very year, there were the election for the members of that assembly. So we have another election. And we vote for the people who wanted to be in the constituent assembly. They started writing the constitution. It was a very nice process in which everybody participated somehow. The indigenous people write their proposal for article for the new constitution, the Afro people, the LGBT people, the women, the students. So there were hundreds of proposals. We proposed an article saying something, and all this was discussed. And at the end, there was a text of a constitution, and there was a new election, a new referendum, asking the people if they agree with that text. And yes won with 71%. So by 1999, a year after Chavez had won, we had 4 elections in Venezuela. 4 elections, free elections. But Chavez said, because we have reformed the republic, because we have new constitution, we have to elect again the president. He had been appointed president for 5 years, but he said, we have to elect again. So a new campaign started, and he won with 56% of the vote in 2000. So he was elected president for 6 years, according to the new constitution. But this new constitution had something new, the possibility of a recall referendum. So in midterm, the people can say if they want the president to stay or not. There is some procedures, there need some signatures, there's some different procedures. But at the end, the opposition could have the signatures, and the referendum had to be done. So a recall referendum was done. The question was if you agree in change the president. And the no, said we don't agree to change the president, won with 59% of the vote. So Chavez won again. In the middle of that, between 2000 and 2004, there was an attempt to overthrow the government by a coup d'etat in 2002. Chavez won again in 3 days. You know the story. It was a nice story. And something many of us say that the story of Bolivar, we were taught about that story. But the story of Chavez, we live it. That's different. We don't live that. And it was in 3 days. This 2002 event gave us, we can say, a military victory. Because all the opposition military people, they show there. So they say, I was in the coup d'etat, And in 3 days they tried to hide, but we knew who were the enemies. So Chavez Cook had the control of the military in 2002. In 2004, with this recall referendum, we had the political victory. And in the middle, because he tried to sabotage the oil company, and we won again, we had the economic victory there. So we have control of the oil industry, we have control of the military. I say we because I feel part of that, but as many Venezuelans. and the referendum, the recall referendum, gave us the political victory. Chavez again. 2006 election for president again. Chavez, the new constitution allowed the president, and then some reforms allow governors or mayors to be re-elected every time they, as far as the people elect for them. As far as the people vote, you can repeat in the position. So Chavez was our candidate in 2006, and in 2006 Chavez started talking about socialism, not before. So it was clear he was promoting to build a socialist society, and people vote for that. So it's not something hidden, you know. He started talking about socialism after that. He said that before in the campaign. We need socialism. Capitalism is not our goal, and people voted for that. So he won 62%. 2012 again, he was the candidate and he won with 56% of the vote. 2013 he died. He won every election. He's invictus. And I am showing here this election, but in the middle of all this, we have election for governors, we have election for mayors, we have election for communal committees. So we have election every year. That's the democracy in Venezuela. We have election all the time. People are used to go and vote. Everyone knows how to do. And the other thing is that in the Constitution, we call about protagonic and participatory democracy. That means that the mechanism to not only to give an opinion, but to decide, many mechanisms in the Constitution for people to decide their fate. And it's not that the people every 5 years we go and vote. People take decisions and people make policy in the communities. And that's a participatory democracy. Something different from what we had before. Then 2013, because Chavez wasn't there were elections, and Nicolas Maduro was a candidate, and he won with 50% of the votes. 2018, election again, Maduro won with 67%. I put in Caldera was the president before Chavez. Caldera won with 30% of the votes, just to make a comparison. Because people can say, Maduro won with 50%, almost won. Not almost, because we, in Venezuela, won whoever had the majority of votes. And Caldera had only 30% of the vote, and he was appointed president. And nobody complained about that, and nobody said it was a dictatorship. 30%. The elections that we have had in Venezuela for president, all of them had more than 50% of the votes, and a high participation of the people. This democracy is participatory, is call the people to take decisions, and it's something that is not much liked by the empire. So we have 4 things here. Well, this is not ugly, but never mind. The first thing is that we have a position, a geostrategic position. We have a very nice geographical position, very important for business, for trade, etc. Second, we have plenty of resources. All these resources under control of the state. This is an important thing. We have a participatory democracy, and with a policy explicitly socialist and anti-imperialist. So we have everything to become an enemy of the empire, become something uncomfortable for the empire. And that we talk now about the measures against Venezuela, and we used to say after 2017, after 2015. No, that was from the very beginning of the revolution that we had problems with America, with the United States. Before, during the first campaign of Chavez, because the opposition, our opposition is oligarchy, is the bourgeoisie, middle class, high class people, very posh. And one of the things they said against Chavez, why you don't have to vote for Chavez? Imagine that Chavez, he doesn't have an American visa. How can you have a president with an American visa? That was the kind of campaign against Chavez. Can you imagine the level of politics? That's our position, and it's sad, but it's our position. But from the very beginning, we have troubles with the United States, and there is a famous speech that Chavez gave. I don't remember the year, but Evo Morales had expelled the drugs agency from Bolivia. And because of that, the American government expelled some diplomats, Bolivian diplomats, from Washington. And Chavez immediately said he was supporting Evo Morales, and he will expel the American diplomat from Venezuela. He called our ambassador in Washington, said, Bernardo was his name. Bernardo, that was, in my speech. Come now, don't wait to be expelled from that. Come now. And he said something very rude, very strong against the Americans. I can repeat here. Very strong. And it was famous, this word. Huh?
Do it.
he said,
why not?
He said something like, fucking American, you can't go here. We don't want you anymore. And repeated, he said, it was shit, American shit, something like that. And repeated 3 times. And we don't want you. And that was Chavez. No diplomat. Chavez gave the hand to the Emperor of Japan, which is something that you can't do. You can't see the Emperor of Japan. I said, my friend. Everybody, That was Chavez. So that's our position. So if you think that oil is produce our 95% of our revenues, our income, and you are our enemy, the first thing you have to think is, okay, we have to attack that industry. That's the way to attack Venezuela. So that's what they did. We have exporting oil since 1926, was nationalized in 1976, a nationalization that Chavez concluded in 2005, 7, 6. But that made our state to become the major exporter of commodities of the country, the major receptor of foreign currencies, and the main distributor of wealth in Venezuela. So it's a state which receives most of the income in currency, in foreign currency, and the state which decides how to distribute that wealth. Since Chavez, you have heard about the missions, housing mission, the education mission. So it's because the state is an ancient state. The bureaucracy is horrible. Chavez tried to invent parallel institutions, was the missions, to go quicker, faster. And all these missions, for example, we had given now 3 million houses to the people, 3 million. No other country has done such a thing with housing. Maybe China produces a lot, but in terms of the population, we have done a lot. And all the money for that come from oil exporting. All the money come from that. So we can avoid thinking that we need to do. We can be even anti-extractivist, as many political ecologists are, but we have to be clear that we need now to export, to exploit and to export oil. And so the Americans started attacking our industry, and it wasn't, the worst started not with Trump, it started with Obama. You know that Obama deported more people than Bush. Obama, you know, is not the angel that some people figure. In December 2014, Obama signed the law 113278. It was called Venezuelan Defense of Human Rights and Civil Society Act, signed by Obama in 2014. This law is the base for the whole thing they did. In this law, they say that attacking the oil industry is a possibility. It's something we have to put on the table. And then in 2015, there was the Executive Order 13692, which put Venezuela as an unusual and extraordinary threat to the national security and foreign policy of USA. So we are an unusual and extraordinary threat to the United States. Amazing. That was Obama. We started a campaign against that executive order. We collected signatures against that act, and we collected, I think, 9 million signatures, something like that. It was, you know, and we sent all this to Washington, all these signatures. Here, the people against your order. In 2016, the Commerce Bank, which managed accounts from PDVSA, PDVSA is the oil industry of Venezuela, closed the account. And the risk rating agencies started advising not to invest in the debt or bonds of Venezuela. The war properly started in that way. They start closing the account and making very difficult the transaction for the oil company. Then there was a PNC Bank, this important bank, refused to receive funds from PDVSA. So it started making difficult for PDVSA to put their money in one place and to use and transact and to, you know, make transaction without money. In 2017, that was Trump, Executive Order 13808, which prohibited transaction with PDVSA inside American jurisdiction. So no person or company could make any transaction with PDVSA inside American jurisdiction. What makes it worse is that the Americans, as said in February 2019, threatened the country for making business with Venezuela. Straight. It's not something, you know, it's not diplomat. They say, I would prefer you not to do that, otherwise it will be consequences for that. So some governments of Latin America, allies of the Americans, get into the game, Colombia in particular, Brazil with Bolsonaro, and the European Union. In January 2019, the Executive Order 13857, in which every active from PDVSA in USA are blocked. And what happened in January? In January, Guaido self-proclaimed president of Venezuela in a square with 50 people there in front of him. I am the president. And Maduro is a dictator, you know. In the square, I am the president, that's not a dictator. He proclaimed himself president of Venezuela. The Americans, the same day, recognize him as a president, and this executive order have to be with that. He said, okay, from now on, because we recognize Guaido as the president, we put every asset of Venezuela in the United States under his control. The account, the enterprises, etc., under control of Guaido and his people. Nobody knows. His people. It's amazing. It's something that you can't believe can happen in the world, in this century. Well, what happened? And the Colombian government recognized Guaido. That means that our people in the embassy had to leave the embassy because there were no security at all guaranteed for them. In Peru, the same, and all this called the Lima Group, which is a group of countries, Peru, Colombia, Chile, Paraguay. They recognize Guaido as a president, and our embassy were in a very bad situation there. Our embassy in the United States, well, you know the story, it was terrible. And the American embassy in Caracas is safe, because we are part of the Convention of Vienna, we respect the international law, so that's territory of America, it's there, no problem. It's not a collective inside the, I would like that, you know, respect the law. But our embassy is not. It wasn't protected, it's now under the hands of someone member of the group of Guaido. And something very bad on that is that putting under control of Guaido government our asset means Circo, which is a company belong to PDVSA in the States. Circo means something like $7 billion in capital, $11 billion in assets that now they were stolen, basically, like pirates were stolen. Someone had this company, we don't know what happened with the money produced there, and probably nobody knows. Another example was a company in Colombia that produced fertilizer, a very important company in Colombia that belonged to Venezuela, belonged to PDVSA, Monómeros de Venezuela is the name. And it was put under control of the Guaido people. Nobody knows what's happened with the money, because the company is producing something and is earning some money. Where is the money? Nobody knows. They know. So it's a pirate attack, basically. It's terrible. Then we have in March Executive Order 13827, prohibiting renegotiating the debt, prohibit repatriation of capital, and attack the petro, which is a cryptocurrency created by the government. Executive Order 13835, prohibit transaction involving the Venezuelan debt or the PDVSA debt. In 2019, April, sanctions against 34 cargo ships owned by PDVSA. Even we used to have a transaction of all the import of things, of goods, where we used, I think, 9 different companies, ship cargos companies. From those, of these 9 companies, 7 stopped doing business with Venezuela because they were threatened by the Americans to be sanctioned. So we had only 2 companies that we can use to bring goods to Venezuela. We have the money to buy things, but we can't buy because nobody wants to sell, because fear sanctions. In May, India informed they have suspended buying oil from Venezuela. We were about to make a business with India, and I don't know if John Bolton or one of these Falcons went to India, and India decided not to make business with Venezuela. This is only a sample of measures that take the Americans. Similar things are being made involving gold, because we had the troubles with oil business. We start looking at gold reserves, but the Americans blocked also transaction in gold, for the Venezuelan gold. Has been difficult for them. Of course, all these have impact on Venezuela. I mean, we are selling less oil, and we are buying less goods. Among those goods are those needed for the oil industry. Our oil industry was created under the American arms in the beginning of the 20th century. So it's highly dependent on spare parts, on reagents that are produced in the United States or in allied countries of them. So we need to buy spare parts, and we cannot. We need to buy reagents, and we cannot. So part of the industry has been highly impacted. Some fields are closed at the moment and not working at the moment. So the production has dropped. Here is it from 2015 to 2018. The line shows the income from oil, showing how it's been getting down. The production dropped in last year from 1.3 million barrels per day in January to 800,000 barrels per day in April. So in 4 months, dropped a lot. Now we are again increasing slowly the production with a big effort. And we have to think that 700,000 barrels per day is like our limit. I mean, with 700,000 we can live. Less than that, things very hard. So we are almost in the limits of the minimum production. Venezuela had produced 3 million barrels per day in the past. So our production is more or less the capacity for 3 million barrels, but now we cannot do it because part of the company, the industry, has been very highly impacted by the measures. We don't talk about sanctions because we haven't done anything wrong. So there is no law in the world to sanction us. That measure, unilateral and coercive measure of the United States against a country, against a people. And so we are producing less oil, we are getting less income, but even with the income we have, it's very difficult to use it because the transaction, the financial system is controlled by the United States in the world. So we have money, we want to give the money to Rwanda, the United States control that because that happened, the money goes to a route in which the Americans have the control, and that makes it very difficult, very difficult. We have had ships in the port of La Guaira, there in Venezuela, with the food. We have the money, there's the food. That's a capitalist thing. Someone sells, someone buys, and you pay for that. That's capitalist, it's not socialism. We have the money, okay, I want that food, and we can do it. So the ship is there with the food and can give we can do anything because we can pay for that. There is no way to pay for that. So we are finding route, and still we have some roads, to go. In that respect, China is our ally, a very important ally. Turkey, Russia, and that's strong allies in this moment in particular. So we can do something, but it has been very difficult. Another thing, apart from this, is the money we have abroad and that unilaterally banks just block the account. For example, Novo Banco of Portugal, they have 1,381 million euros belong to the government, to the Venezuelan state. They have it there blocked. We can use it. They decided to block that. 1 billion euros. Bank of England, 1 billion.
Billion or million?
1 billion.
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 1,000.
5 billion.
Billion.
In the Bank of England, in gold reserve, 1.1 billion euros blocked there. Blocked. Charles did something. He tried to repatriate the gold we had. And he was very much criticized for that. Fortunately, he did it. And most of our gold was in England, in the Bank of England. And Chavez brought that to Venezuela again. That was a big thing. I remember when the gold arrived in a truck, and big trucks, and going from the airport to Caracas, and people, the flags, and this is our gold. That was nice. But not all the gold, And we had 1.1 billion euros blocked in England. And here, Citibank, Union Bank, Euroclear in Belgium, they have 125 million euros blocked there in titles of debt. Bank NE of Belgium, Debut Bank France. So we have something like 4.8 billion euros blocked in different accounts in the world that we can use it. That we need it for buying medicines or whatever, and we can use it. One example is small, but not small for the people who died, but small in numbers, is that we had an agreement with a foundation in Italy. They can do a treatment for a very special disease. So there are some children there, and we pay the foundation from Circo. Because Circo was stolen, the payment was through PDVSA straight to that foundation to give the treatment to that children. And the first time the government paid through a bank, the bank said, no, we cannot receive that, and gave us the money back. The second time, another bank, and they say, no, we cannot do it, but they kept the money. That's it, pirates. And one of the child died. One of the child died because he couldn't receive the treatment. And that's a consequence of that. And we had the money, there was a treatment, and we couldn't pay. And because we didn't pay, the child died. Just to see what means this whole thing. So let's see as an example the issue of health, the consequence of this. This is the economic consequence. We have less money, we can buy things, etc. But in terms of the health situation in Venezuela, 50% of medical supplies companies left the country because they can't do business properly. So they left the country. They can buy, most of the medicine in Venezuela are imported. They can import the things. So you as a capitalist have a company, you can do business properly, and so left the country. So the medicine production dropped to 70% of the capacity of Venezuela. We are producing 70% of the medicine we can produce. 17% only, because we don't have the thing we need for that. There is a general scarcity of medicines. I think I will tell you some details about the current moment, because we have solved some of the things, but that's happened. Medicine without registration or import permits are entering the country because people need medicine and try to buy some wherever. And that's not as good because some medicine without permits, etc., are in the country of people trying other things. From the point of view of decolonizing the world, we can see that as an opportunity because try to see something good in the bad. Because the traditional medicine is getting strength. And people are starting to look for other medicine, and that's nice, because it works. And try to be less dependent of the patented medicines. But still it's a problem, of course, because you don't have the possibility of treating all the people. 50% of hospitals without laboratories, as many private laboratories left the country. That shows also our high dependency on other companies, and that's something we have to debate internally, and we have to look for, to try to take advantage of the moment to develop a national system. But certainly at the moment, you go to a hospital, and in many hospitals the laboratories are not working, or working at the minimum. They can do a hematology, but maybe they can make a test of hepatitis, for example. They can do. They don't have the reagents. 3% of health equipment deteriorated due to problems, amongst other problems with the electrical national system. And that's another way to attack us, has been to attack the electrical system. We had a huge attack in March last year. We had something like 5 days without electricity in most of the country. And one of the reasons was a cyber attack. And the opposition said that we were thinking Star Wars. But the fact is that Trump signed an act to protect the electrical system of the United States against cyber attacks. So it's not fiction. He tried to protect himself. So we had this attack. And since then, well, before that, we had problems with the electrical system, and that produced problems with the equipment, because of all this change in tension, and we have problems with the equipment. But if you add to that, we can buy the spare parts to maintain the equipment. That's a problem. Something nice that happened last year. We had problems with the incubators for babies. Incubators. Mm-hmm. They were not working. So one of the institutions of the Ministry of Science and Technology, their objective, they're devoted to telecommunication. That's engineers. But they said, we're engineers here, electronic engineers. We have to be useful for something else than antennas. So they went to the hospital, the children's hospital, the main hospital in Caracas, have a look at the incubators, and say, we can arrange that. And they started. So they promised the president to arrange, I think something like, we can arrange the incubators of this hospital, 20 incubators or 30. They arranged 200. And they put 200 incubators that were, without working, put to work in this hospital and many other hospitals, and train people from the hospital to maintain that, so we can do it. And that was a nice news. And now they are trying to look for other equipment, tomographers, and try to do it. And there is another institution from the Ministry of Science and Technology, the Venezuelan Scientific Research Institute, which they are also working in hospital with the equipment, try to do something. Most of the problems can be solved internally. I'm not that, we have specialists for that. No, you can do it with some expertise, but we have the expertise. So we are learning things as well. Well, deficit in high-cost equipment. You have talked about the problem of dialysis and neurosurgery prosthesis, that we don't have the equipment for that, and that's a problem, putting at risk many people. We have difficulties for buying vaccines. We had, for example, we bought a cargo of insulin for diabetic people, and the cargo was in Colombia, and we have paid for that. And the Colombian government stopped the transportation of that. We couldn't have the insulin that we had paid because they stopped that, and that happened with many medicines. All these produce things like brain drain. Many people, medical, etc., have migrated both to private sector or abroad. So we have lost people, especially doctors. In the scientific area is terrible. Many scientists have gone abroad. Not necessarily to do science at the level they think they, no, go to do whatever outside. And that's a problem. It's an opportunity to reform. For me, it's an opportunity to start again with the new people, because most of the people, not everybody who leave the country is an opposition people. Many people just have economic problems, and they, as many people in the world, go looking for another fate. But some of them are oppositional people, and okay, they left. Let's try to new people, and you have to start again. Well, we start again. It's not a well, we can do it, but that's at the moment it's a problem. It's a problem. Medicine production drop. Okay, I said that already. Well, there's another consequences, not necessarily medicine, but scarcity of basic supplies, computers, paper, internet access, cleaning products, some different things that are impacted by the measures against us. We can, it's not easy for us to buy, for example, for printing things. It's difficult to print a document. And you are in the Ministry of Science and Technology, and no, I can't print that. And they look at that in the second floor. No, look at it. And we have to arrange that. It's not easy. You have to if you want to do whatever in the bureaucracy. In many cases, you have to bring your thing already printed because you don't have time. But you have to bring it. They can't print for you. They don't have paper. They don't have printer. Cleaning products, for example. So people organize themselves to clean a school, for example. All the parents organize to bring the chloro or whatever to clean the school. Again, try to be positive. It's nice, the self-organization of the people around the school, because it should be something that is in our constitution. Some principle of our constitution is a co-responsibility. So it's not that we expect the government give us everything, that we have to work for them. And now, somehow that's happening. People putting that, agree to clean the school altogether, whatever. But all these problems make the services to increase their prices horribly. So it's a disproportionate increase in the price of services, in the cost of services. So it makes it difficult for people to access to a surgery, because you go to a hospital with something, and it's very likely that they will say, okay, no problem, you can stay here, but you have to bring us cotton, or you have to bring us things to work. We don't have how to work. It's difficult. It makes it difficult. And something that makes it even more difficult, maybe that our mind is not inside the war. It's like if we are not accepting, we are at war. So we have to act accordingly. We're still thinking that it's a temporary thing, that, you know, it's today. No, we are at war, and we have to act. And the doctors should think that way. If someone arrives to hospital with something, you have to solve.